Hi everyone, how stressed are you? You're probably wondering, Doc, what do you mean? I am stressed. There's so many things out there in the world today that are impacting our lives and we're feeling stressed. Almost all of us are feeling stressed, more so than any other time. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how we deal with stress. I've got 20 stress busters, and I'm going to be discussing all of those things to talk about how do we deal with the idea of having palpitation, of not being able to breathe, of feeling tightness in our chest, of having all these different sensations and wondering, is our life upside down? Should we just pull the cover over and just forget about life? I'm going to be talking about those things. I'll be right back. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dr. D. Terrence Foster. If this is the first time that you're joining us, let me just extend a very warm welcome to you. Wherever you are in the world today, I just want you to know that I appreciate you. Also, I would like you to know that on this channel, we focus on simplifying medical issues for everyone, particularly those who may have felt left out. This is your channel. Consider subscribing. It is free, and we produce a new video every week. Let's talk about stress and how we deal with stress. What is stress? Stress in the context of medicine is a physical, mental, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tension or emotional strain, and may also be a factor that causes disease or contributing factor of so many diseases. And we're aware of that. There's so many diseases that we're aware of that stress is a contributing factor. Now, you could have acute stress, you could have episodic acute stress, or you could have chronic stress. And each type of stress will have its own duration or its own lifespan, and that will determine how long the stress lasts and how best we treat the stress that one is going through. Another type of stress is not always negative. Sometimes your stress may be one where there's a positive outcome. For example, you may get a new promotion, you may have bought a new house, a new car, you have a new addition to the family, a newborn. All those are very positive things. But of course, those come with responsibility that are new. And from that standpoint, those things can add a lot and will add more stress. The question is, how do we deal with all these new stress? Now, other examples of stress include other things that are fairly routine. For example, the pressure of going to school or college, working, having a job. That's important, but it comes with stress. Stress also can be brought on suddenly, which could be a negative. For example, you could lose your job, you could be going through a divorce or illness, or you could have a traumatic stress which involved being in an accident or some war or assault of some kind. Those can be very serious and may be one which involve deadly consequence or fatalities. So those stress are in of themselves traumatic. So one of the things to bear in mind is that our environment, our body, and our mind can be factors in terms of stressors. That means whatever thoughts is going through our mind can determine the level of stress we have. Whatever illness or condition our body is in, that will also lead to stress. And of course, the environment. What are we experiencing in our environment? Are we experiencing a pandemic? Do we live in an environment where there is a lot of violence or fighting or whatever it is? Those things can also lead to stress as well. Now, some stress may be, of course, short-term, some may be long-term, or it may be ongoing. But stress, in any event, is what is considered to be a normal occurrence or a normal way of life for all of us. We all have stress. Now, your stress may be different than mine. I may have a level of stress that I consider to be normal, and for others, it may be too much, or somebody may have a lot of stress that is, for me, it's too much, and for them, it's just normal. Now, how do we know that we're stressed? The first thing is that we must pay attention. And we could recognize the signs that our body is responding to stress. Now, chronic stress will, over time, will contribute to many serious health problems, resulting in a variety of signs and symptoms, some of them which are obvious and some of them which are not as obvious. Now, some of these signs and symptoms will indicate the presence of disease, or at least the possibility of disease. And some may include emotional symptoms, like you may see a higher level of anxiety or agitation, depression, or general sense of wanting to be alone, moodiness, irritability, or just feeling overwhelmed, or being easily angered or very hungry without much provocation or with minor irritation. Someone could be at that level where they're so stressed that it really doesn't take much to make them feel out of control and really responding outside of the norm of what a response would be expected to be. Now, in addition to these emotional feeling, there's also cardiac related problem. You may see palpitation, you may see tachycardia, where someone may feel their heart pumping or beating out of their chest. They may have shortness of breath, diabetes. You may have sleeping problem. People become tired or feeling exhausted. Frequent headaches, dizziness, or just a feeling of hopelessness. That's very common. Or a feeling of, well, I can't go on. There's just so much happening. And then there's a lot of GI symptoms. You may see weight gain or loss. You may see upset stomach, diarrhea, indigestion, or acid reflux symptoms, irritable bowel syndrome, or increase or loss of appetite. All these are part of stress or manifestation of stress. Now, you also see muscle weakness, pain, and stiffness and spasm. All these will occur. There's general body aches and pain. There's also nervous behavior such as biting of the nail, fidgeting, and pacing or grinding of teeth, clenching of the jaw, and trembling and shaking. All these are possible signs of stress. Now, you also have sexual dysfunction. So there's just as you could see, there's a myriad of things that are there, that it's not just limited to one thing or one body system, but the entire body can become involved in manifestation of stress-related symptoms or sign. So just be aware of those things and know that once you're experiencing them, then the question is what to do. And that's what we're going to start talking about now, is the 20 things that we can do to improve stress in our lives. The first thing is identification of the stressors or the factors that are causing you to feel stressed. Now, once you've identified these factors, write them down. Make sure that you put them in order of importance by prioritizing them and making sure that which one is a priority, which one need to be dealt with now. Now, not necessarily in the order of the most important, but also you got to consider the timeline of these problems. The moment you write these down, things will start falling into place, because now you have a picture of what is in front of you, what you need to do, and what is important. So make sure you write them down, put them in order of time and importance. If you have something that is very important, but it's not going to be fulfilled or come to a resolution in a month from now or 2 months from now, doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything about it, but don't let that consume you now. Work on it, but work on the things that need to be done right now or in very close time or in a short time from now. The second and most important thing, and this always comes in just about everything, make sure that you have goals of what you'd like to accomplish in life, because that is so important. And your goals should be written down, they should be thought out, and it should be something that you could refer to at any given time. And also, as part of setting goal is that you get to put things in priority. What is important? What are the things that need to be done in order for you to accomplish what you need to do. This may also require you having a timetable of when things should be accomplished, and therefore that will make you have a better perspective of when you need to do things, as opposed to just constantly thinking about something that doesn't need to be done now but can be done weeks or months or sometimes even here from now, but you're still spending a lot of time thinking about it, more so than you need to. I'm not saying that you should not be thinking about things that should be done in advance, but I'm saying the energy of getting things done should be focused on the things at hand and planning for the things in the future, rather than wasting so much energy on the things that you don't need to be doing right now. And the next one is fairly simple and straightforward. You should have a budget of how you're going to spend your money, because finances is always one of those things that play a major impact in everything that we do. So that is pretty straightforward. Everyone should have a budget so that you don't get outside of it, you don't go over it, or at least you have some control of where your funds are going. It doesn't matter how much you have or how much you think you don't have, we all should have a budget. Now, there's some things in life that we cannot change. The question is knowing what we can change and what we cannot change, and accept the difference. There's this something that's how there's a serenity prayer. Make sure you look at it and understand the things that you could change them. The things that you can't change, find ways to accept them. Now, one of the things that we have to do is learn how to express ourselves. So many times we will keep things inside, bottle up, and suffer literally in silence. We ought to be able to express ourselves clearly and assertively, without necessarily offending others. Now, there are times when it doesn't matter how you try, people will be offended, because sometimes the truth hurts. Now, this is not always easy, but that is something that you have to learn how to do. Expressing your anger, your disappointment, or something that you're not happy with, let other people know. Because a lot of times they just don't know that there's something that is bothering you. And unless you tell them and explain to them, they will not understand. And you will be there suffering with added stress, not being able to express yourself. So make sure that you can do this. Make sure that others will know how you're feeling. Do not suffer in silence. Now, this one should be easy, but it's one of the hardest ones, losing our toxic relationship. So many of us are in relationships that are toxic and don't know how to get out, don't know what to do. But these are relationships that span the entire spectrum. Know what your relationship is. If it's not working, if it's not good for you, get out of those toxic relationships, because you will always be in stress. So that is pretty straightforward. You ought to be in a position where you could say, okay, this is not good for me. This is not good for my mental health. This is too stressful. If it's too stressful, then it's time for you to say, okay, this is not working, and it's time to move on. Some of them are dependent relationships. Some of them are manipulative relationships. Some of these relationships are people who are in your presence or in your circle because they need something from you, but they contribute nothing to your development, nothing to your growth, and you contribute nothing to theirs, other than the fact that sometimes they're just being more takers than givers. And in life, the best relationship are interdependent relationship, not one where you take from people and give nothing, and not one where you give to people and necessarily get nothing back. Not necessarily material things. Sometimes people get stuck on the material things, but there's also an emotional component to this, which is sometimes far more important than material things. So find ways to get out of these relationships, because once you do, you will find that your stress level is going to be improved significantly by getting out of these toxic relationships. Now, in terms of getting out of those relationships, you will find that, yes, you're losing someone who you quote unquote call a friend or whatever, but it's okay sometimes to let go of some of these relationships, because in this world, it is okay if everyone doesn't like you. Everyone does not have to like you. In fact, if everyone likes you, there is something that is wrong with you. You're a pretty messed up person if you're in a situation or in life you feel, or your life is such that everyone like you, then you are doing something that is wrong. That's the reality of life. Everyone should not and could not like you, because we're all so different. When you look at life, it's a bell curve, and there are people at both ends of the spectrum, and we're all, in a lot of cases, some of us are diametrically opposed in ideas and principles in life. And if you stand for something, if you believe in something, then you're going to be different from the person on either spectrum. So it's okay for you to lose friends, lose people, and not be worried about it, because that is normal. That's a normal way of life. So don't worry about it. I mean, very basic stuff. Everyone knows this. Christ was crucified, and there were people there who were cheering. There were people there who were standing by and just watching and just doing nothing, because either they didn't care or they feel powerless. So having people who don't like you because of, for whatever reason, that's okay. As long as you have within you some core principles, some core values in life that are important, then that's more important than the people who do not like you. You must believe in something. You must have some principle by which you live by. And if you live by these principles, you're going to be happier, because then you're not trying to please people who you will never be able to please. The next one, it is okay to say no. Now, there's so many times people will demand things of you, and yes, you want to do it. Yes, it's a good thing. Yes, it's a good idea. The person who's making the request is a good person. But you have to look at your life, your responsibility, your goals in life, and you have to say, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. No, I'm not available. No, I do. And sometimes you don't even have to give a reason for this. You just have to say, I'm sorry, I can't have this time. Maybe next time. Allow yourself the option of always being able to say no when it is the right thing for you to do. Now, it's not that difficult to say no, as long as you have a plan in life and you have things to do, you have objectives and you have goals and deadlines that you want to meet. Then you'll find that you're not saying no because you do not like the person or you do not support their ideas, but sometimes you have something that you want to accomplish and you just don't have the time it takes to do what they're requesting of you. And maybe the next time around you'll be able to help now, but be willing and be gracious enough to yourself to say no sometime. It will reduce the level of stress that you go on, because you don't want to pick up additional tasks or additional work that you have to do, while at the same time you're overburdened by other things that you cannot get down. Know your limits, say no when it's appropriate, and feel good about saying no. It's your right to do that. Next thing, as much as we say no, one thing I always want to say next is never forget the value of friendship and relationship. They are priceless, particularly those people who are there in your corner all the time, no matter what. Friendship is priceless. No man is an island. We all need to have friends in our life. We all need a relationship in order to function. These are the people in your life that you could talk to, you could say anything to. Don't let them get away. Let them keep close to you. You don't need 10 or 20 people to be friends. You need just a few people, maybe just enough where you could count on one hand. That's okay. But they're incredible and they're part of your life and they are priceless. Next is exercising our body. Now, we should exercise our body for about 30 minutes a day for about 3 to 4 days per week, and we should do it regularly. But make sure that you're medically cleared by your doctor before you do this, because exercising without being in the appropriate medical condition could be a risk for other complication, and you don't want that to happen. Physical exercising the body is also one of the main stress releasing things that anyone could do. So make sure that you get adequate exercise. That is so important. Now, in as much as we exercise our body, we should also exercise our mind, because our mind is one of those factors that control our stress level. We need to feed our mind in as much as we feed our stomach, because what we put in our mind also comes out as a manifestation of some of the illnesses that we're experiencing. So make sure you feed your mind with inspirational thoughts, good thoughts. Make sure that you feed your mind with things that are important in your development, in your growth. Make sure that you take time to meditate. That's important, because the mind is the most precious thing we have. So make sure that we take care of our beautiful mind. Now, in as much as we talk about making sure that our mind has the right food or the right inspiration or the right energy, our body needs the right food. Food has consequences. So make sure that whatever we put in our mouth as our nutrient is balanced, it's good for us. Because some food will change our mood, will add weight, will cause us to lose weight. So you have to be aware of these foods group and different effects of these food that are out there, and make sure that you're eating the right food so that you get the appropriate nutrient for your body, and that will help with reducing your stress level as well. Simple put, whatever we put in our mouth will be reflected in our body and our appearance. So we must be careful of how we feed our body, making sure we have the right and appropriate nutrient. The next thing is make time for yourself and the one you love and those that love you. Very simple. Always we should make some time for ourselves and for those that are in our life that are important to us. Make sure we make enough time so that they also get some of the quality time that we spend, and it's not all given to others. That is so important. Avoid destructive behaviors. What are destructive behaviors? These are use of illegal drugs, alcohol, or any sort of compulsive behavior that would put you or your family at risk. Those are simply not good, and they just add more to your stress level and to your family stress level. Now, there are times when you'll be involved in alcohol. Know that there are limits to these, and too much indulgence will result in negative consequences. And not only is illegal drugs, but also prescription drugs. People are getting hooked on opioids and other prescription drugs that are bad for you. So avoid those destructive behavior, because they can have really negative consequences. And it's important that you avoid those things, because if you do, then your stress level and the consequence coming from those behavior will be less. Now next, whatever you do, it's a busy world out there. Make sure you get some rest, sleep, or sometimes just take some time off and do nothing. Sometimes you just have to just step away from the activity and take a break. That is so important. Take a break, regenerate or reinvigorate yourself, because that will make a difference in terms of your performance, in terms of what you're doing. Take a break, get some sleep, get adequate sleep. It's important that you do that. That is important. So that's another important thing that you need to do to improve your stress level. Now, the next is take some time out of your life to help others. And this could be in the form of some charity work, or sometimes it's just a kind words to someone, or a kind deed, or gifts. But the big picture here is that you don't have to give a lot to people to make a difference in their life. Sometimes just your kindness, your smile, your thoughts, your appreciation, a thank you, a please, or just simple words like that can make a big difference in someone's life or someone's day. It just eases the tension. It makes the day go better for you and better for them. And a lot of times when we do these things, the greatest gift you can give yourself is expect nothing back. Do not expect a thank you. Do not expect a present. Do not expect to say, oh, look what this person give me. No, you do this because you know why it's so important, because in a lot of cases when you do these things, you'd be surprised that in some way or another it comes back to you, not from that person that you did or those people that you did good to, but from others who will come in your path and will do things for you that they have no reason to do, but somehow you are benefiting from getting more than you deserve, because maybe in somewhere, in some time in your life, you did something for others, and now in some way it's coming back to you. So give freely, give of your time, give of your energy, because it's so important how much difference you can make in other people's life by giving. And when you do this, share the feeling, share the joy, because sometimes we look and we say, you know what, I'm poor or I don't have much to give, but you'd be amazed how much your words, your kindness, your thoughts can mean to someone, because everything in life is relative. There's so many people in life that will benefit from our help, and we may look and we said, oh, we can't do anything, we can't help them because I need help too, so why am I going to try to help anyone? The idea is you help others, because in helping others you help yourself also. There is so much joy and pleasure to be gained from giving and from being a part of other people's happiness by you contributing to their happiness. So give freely. Next, whatever you do in life, always find something to do, whether that be a job, a hobby, or whatever. You should never be bored, you should never be tired, because when you are, then other things, other thoughts creep into your mind. So find something to do. It is one of those special gifts and trait that every human being should have, is something to do. The next thing is find someone to love. So many of us have so much love to give, but we never love anyone. And loving someone is one of the greatest stress buster you could have. Because when you love and you give your love, you're opening up yourself to be loved. And if you don't have love to give, it's hard for you to receive love. So love freely, and love others. So find someone to love. Share your love, share it with others, and let that be a part of your growth and development, and continue nurturing yourself. It will make a difference in the amount of stress you have in your life. Now, some people are saying that could cause more stress. The result is overall it will be more beneficial. So love someone. Next is find something to hope for. The moment we've lost the ability to have hope or to dream, we have lost the will to or desire to live happily. And that only had more stress to our life. So always think of what is the next thing I'm going to do. Whether you're retired, whether it doesn't matter what you do, there's always something you could do. You could volunteer, you could help at some facility, whether it be a non-profit organization, but something where you could make a difference in someone else's life. So find something to hope for, something to do. Maybe you could maybe you could start painting or start a new hobby or a new thing, but something that could take you to a different level. Do not just settle and say, my life is over, I'm just waiting to die. That is not a good thing. So try to find something to do, something to hope for. Those are very, very important things to do in order to help reduce your stress level. Next, despite what we do, sometimes things get so overwhelming and so much out of control that we just can't deal with it by ourselves or friends or family. And we have to get professional help. We'll need to get sometimes it's a medical doctor, it's a psychologist, it's a pastor, or someone who could help us, someone who could listen to us in a more objective way. So at that point, you need to get additional help, because it's important. Because sometimes you may need extended counseling, you may need medication to help you, you may need biofeedback, or whatever it is, you will need some additional help, which which you may not be able to harness by yourself or with your friends and family. So you have to go outside of that. And that is important. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean that your world is falling apart. If you talk to a psychiatrist or to a psychologist, you will be okay. But it's important that you get those help, because without them, you or your family may not be able to move you from the position you're in to a better way of living. So make sure that you get those help when you need them, or when others around you are saying, I think you need to see someone. Listen to them, because very often they could see you more than you could see yourself. They could see things that you're doing that you yourself are not able to understand. So sometimes you just have to listen to your friends, listen to your family. And if they say to you, you need to get help, follow their advice. And don't just say, you know what, I could deal with this, or I'm okay. Get the help that you need. It's there. And make sure you utilize it well. I'll leave a number at the end of this video. I'll put a link for suicide prevention number and website. So make sure you check that out, because it will be there just in case you ever feel so down or depressed or out of it. You will have that option. Next, find your spiritual center. And whatever that means, that will mean different things to different people. Some people are religious, some are not. Some people have different ways that they worship, and that is personal to you. You know what connects you with your inner self, or what allows you to connect to a force that is greater than yourself. And that is so important in reaching out to that force, because that is part of who we are, and the culture that exists within that group or that community is important to guide you and for you to interact with, because that way you will find another outlet for you to reduce your stress. So make sure you connect with your religious group, or your universal group, or whatever you call it, whatever it is to you. Connect with those group, those people. They're important to you. They're part of who you are. So make sure that you treasure that, because that is an important part of resolving some of the challenges of stresses in our life, by connecting with our inner self, with our God, with our whoever we have, connecting with those persons. For me, I'm a Christian, so I connect with God and relate to Jesus. So that's my thing. Everyone has their own thing. So for you, wherever you are, connect with whatever you believe in. That is important to you. So finally, we have come to the end of this mini marathon regarding stress. And I was hoping to do about 10, but I ended up talking about 20 different things that we could do to reduce stress. I hope you do find this helpful. And if you do, make sure that you share it with your friends, family. I encourage you to share and comment on these videos on this channel with your friends, family, and anyone. I also encourage you to subscribe to this channel. It is free. And when you do, make sure that you click the notification bell, because that way you will get notified each time we release a new video. And finally, let each of us always remember that each of us should strive to keep a healthy mind and body. This is so important, particularly in times of stress. I thank you so much for watching.